everyone, and welcome to another video. Today we are going to take a look at the Deshaun Watson and some Deshaun Watson trades. I have made the top 5 trades that not only benefit the Houston Texans but benefit Deshaun Watson, and they are trades that he would like and teams that he would like to play for. So let's start at 5 and finish at number 1. At 5 we are sending Deshaun Watson to New England for Stephon Gilmore, Jarrett Stidham, and pick 15. This works well for both teams because the Patriots need a quarterback of a lot of players coming back that sat out the season for COVID. As we know, Belichick with a good quarterback will be amazing. Gilmore was rumored to be traded earlier in the season, and Stidham is a quarterback that the Houston Texans could start, or they could draft another quarterback with pick 15 in the draft. If needed, the Patriots could also throw in some second-round picks or even late-round picks if there's a lot of competition. However, having Watson and Gilmore being traded for each other, the salary caps work out pretty well in both teams, and both teams are pretty even financially. At number 4, we have Deshaun Watson to the Washington football team for pick 19, a 2022 first-round pick, and a 2022 second-round pick, a 2023 first, and a 2023 second. This trade is a bunch of first-round picks for a quarterback. As we've seen, Washington was a playoff team with no quarterbacks this year. They went through Haskins, they went through Kyle Allen, they went through Alex Smith, and they even had to start Taylor Heinicke for a playoff game. As much as I personally would love to see Taylor Heinicke be the starter for the Washington football team moving forward, this team needs to capitalize on what they have. Their defense is amazing. Chase Young and Montez Sweat up front is an elite combo. As we saw what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did with their defense and having elite pass rushers up front, Washington needs a quarterback to finish it and be a real contender. Watson going there, it may not be the best place for him. It may not be the place that he would really want to go, as Washington's not as popular of a city as, for example, Miami or New York is, as Watson has said he would like to go to. But this works for him football-wise, as he'd immediately be a contender, and this team would definitely be favorites to win the division, as they just won it at 7-9. Adding Watson to this team and only giving up picks, they'd be great. As people say they need a quarterback in the draft, and at pick 19, it's going to be hard for them to get a quarterback. The best way for them to get a quarterback and really become an elite contender is to make a trade, and Watson's the best available quarterback. At number 3, we have Watson to the New York Jets for pick 2, pick 23 from Seattle, pick 22, a 2022 first, maybe a 2022 second, and Sam Darnold if the Houston Texans want him. This is why this trade is only number 3, because I don't personally see it happening. Pick 2 is such a high pick that you are pretty much going to draft a quarterback if you are selecting that pick. If Houston were to trade for pick 2, they would almost be certain to draft either Zach Wilson or Justin Fields. There would be no point for them to trade up to draft a lineman and to have Sam Darnold start behind the lineman. If they make this trade, the only way I could see it work is if they then trade pick 2 for 2 other first rounders in the draft and rebuild that way. In this year's draft, with the quarterbacks we have, there's no need to select second and select a lineman. Too many teams are going to be wanting a quarterback, and you'll be able to trade up and get good value for it. No one's going to trade up and steal a lineman from you. Watson has said he wants to go to the Jets, but the Jets really don't have any defensive players that they could throw in like Houston has asked for. Potentially they could throw Quinnen Williams if needed, as he was rumored to be traded around the deadline, but personally I don't see it happening, and that's why I only have it at 3. Although Watson wants it and the Jets seem to be interested, I don't see Houston making this trade, and that's why it's at 3. At number 2, I have Watson to San Francisco for Garoppolo, pick 12, 2022 first, and a 2022 second. This is one of the better trade packages, as immediately the 49ers would be Super Bowl favorites in my opinion if they could stay healthy with Deshaun Watson. He had issues this year, and Garoppolo has always been one of the injury issues, so swapping him out for a guy that's been more healthy throughout his career would definitely be an upgrade. As we saw, they were close to winning the Super Bowl against the Chiefs a couple years ago, and with their elite defense and the way the Bucs won it this year, having an elite quarterback would definitely make them favorites. The NFC will be ultra competitive next year, and the San Francisco getting Watson help will definitely put them atop. That division, the NFC West, was full of great teams, and San Francisco is going to have to make a move if they want to keep up with them. They went from a half away from winning Super Bowl to last in the division in 1 year, just off of a couple injuries. Although they had a lot of injuries and the season was weird this year, they definitely have the talent needed and are going to want to capitalize on their window. Getting Watson would solidify them as a team that will be around for many years and not just 1 year like we saw with them before. Garoppolo is a decent enough quarterback, but is he good enough to win games all the time and keep your team relevant for years to come? Having Watson would definitely make San Francisco a team that we talk about all the time, contending for a Super Bowl, contending with the Chiefs and other powerhouses that will be relevant for many years in the league. And at number 1, the trade that I hope happens, and I think will definitely be the best for Deshaun Watson, is Watson to Miami for Tua, pick 18, pick 35, and of course the 3rd overall pick in this year's draft. This trade makes sense to me because they're giving pretty much 3 first-round picks, with pick 35 being so close to the first round, and Tua, the number 5 overall pick last year. Pick 3 is in a perfect spot because expecting to be 2 quarterbacks drafted with pick 1 and 2, as I was talking about with the Jets situation earlier. They won't have to choose quarterback, and they'll have the option of choosing either a great lineman for Tua in Penei Sewell, or a great receiver in Jamar Chase or Devonta Smith to go with Tua. They'll also have pick 18 and 35 to get other players, whether they want to choose offensive or defensive. They will probably be able to have the other players available at pick 18 could either be Najee Harris, Travis Etienne, or Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, one of the best linebackers in this year's draft class. Having Tua and putting him in a new situation, a team like Houston will be a lot slower developing and he'll have a lot more time to grow and less pressure. The Dolphins wanted him to win now this season, and that was tough and kind of hurt his development, as they had to pull him in games to keep the team a chance to win, as we saw with Fitzmagic coming in games and winning them. In Houston, Tua won't have to be rushed and he'll have his time to win, and Watson in Miami will be a perfect win-now situation, as their defense is good and Brian Flores knows what he's doing with that defense. Watson will still not have many weapons on offense. The Dolphins will still have lots of late picks in the draft and first rounders next year to make moves if they need to. They'll also have a decent amount of cap space to potentially sign Kenny Golladay, Marvin Jones Jr., or maybe even Chris Godwin if he becomes available. Okay, so that wraps up our list. As you've noticed, some teams left out are the Carolina Panthers, most notably. They have some things they could trade, but personally I don't see it. They don't have anybody that's really appetizing to include because they don't have as much picks as teams like the Dolphins, the Dolphins, or the Jets have, or even the Washington football team for that matter. Their picks just aren't as valuable, and I don't see Houston making a move for that. Pick 8's kind of a weird spot this year, as that's right between sort of at the end of drafting a quarterback, a lower quarterback in the draft, or targeting somebody else. It'd be a little too early to draft skilled players such as wide receivers. Besides Devonta Smith and Jamar Chase, it'd be kind of high to draft Kyle Pitts there as a tight end. But we'll see as it all plays out. So there you heard it. Those are my thoughts on the Deshaun Watson trades. Hope you enjoyed it, and give me any feedback that you have.